So I've been reflecting on something lately, and I thought that I would share it. A lot of Protestants will say that in their experience, they know the Bible a lot better than Catholics do. And, I was thinking about that, and I have to admit that when I was a Protestant, I read the Bible a lot more than I do now. And I was just thinking about that and recognizing that that's actually not good and that I need to be reading my Bible more and that that's an area that I need to work on. And so I just wanted to reflect on that a little bit. So I would say that reading the Bible is not the most important part of being a Christian. I would say knowing Jesus Christ is. And I think, every Catholic or Protestant would agree with that, right? And whether you're a Catholic or a Protestant, that can be something that you're doing or not doing, and there are always things that can distract us from that focal point. Reading the Bible, studying the Bible can actually be a distraction, and there's that Bible verse that Protestants certainly know about, even oh gosh, that's not really relevant. I'm not going to share that, but anyway, certainly we all recognize that the most important thing is knowing Jesus Christ, loving him, and being surrendered to him. And as Catholics, we recognize that the best way to do that is through the sacraments. And so I still would say, the best way to know Jesus Christ is through the sacraments. However, reading the Bible is still really important. St. Jerome said, and I have it pulled up here, the quote that I wanted to reference. Where is it? Oh, yeah. To be ignorant of scriptures is to be ignorant of Christ. And so as Catholics, we have to know scriptures. It's so important. And so, as a Catholic, I do experience scripture. And if you're a Catholic, you do experience scripture as well. The Mass is full of scriptures. A lot of Protestants don't realize how much exposure to scripture Catholics receive, but every single day at Mass, the scriptures are being read. There's an Old Testament reading, a reading from like the Psalms or Proverbs, etc., a reading from the New Testament epistles, and then a reading from one of the four Gospels. And so that's a big way that Catholics honor scripture and experience scripture. Another way that I really experience scripture in my own life is through the Liturgy of the Hours, which is a type of prayer that includes at least one psalm, sometimes 2 or 3 psalms, and every little section of prayer for every part of the day. And there are also readings from the New Testament as well. So that's another way that I experience scripture on a regular basis. And sometimes I do also just read the Bible straight up. That's great too. However, I'm realizing that as a Catholic, I could be doing more. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that and incorporate that part of my roots that I experienced being raised kind of evangelical Protestant. And I will share, growing up, scripture was really important to our family. We would read the Psalms and Proverbs every single morning as a family. And it was really cool. And this is something that you can do whether you are Catholic or Protestant. But we would read 5 Psalms and one chapter of Proverbs every day, so that every single month we were reading the entire they were reading all of the Psalms and Proverbs. And the way that you can do it, you can apply the date and then just keep adding 30 for the Psalms and then just read the proverb that aligns with the day of the month. So today is December 4th. So if I wanted to do this, I could read Psalm 4, Psalm 34, 64, 94, 124, and then plus Proverbs 4. I think I did my math right on the spot, hopefully. But anyway, you can do that. And it's a really great way to experience scripture. And I'm hoping I don't know if I'll do that every day, just because I do pray the Liturgy of the Hours, and it's already quite a bit of the Psalms and Proverbs. But, it's just another thing that maybe I will do again, or maybe you could too. But just growing up, that was so formative for me. And I think so much of who I am is because of that immersion in the scriptures every single morning. And I was just trying to pick that up again and read more of the Proverbs. And a few weeks ago, I just kind of sat and read 5 chapters of Proverbs, which is not very much, honestly, but I was just so enthralled and so touched reading all these familiar proverbs that I would, again, read every single month as a Protestant. And so, again, I was just reminded of the value there. The wisdom of Proverbs is just like mind blowing. And that, again, that's just one book of the Bible that I really love, but I could say similar things about, other Old Testament books like Genesis or the epistles, the gospels. There's just so much wisdom there. And again, as Catholics, we have to be familiar with scriptures, because that's the way that we are familiar with Christ. Because again, everything in the Old Testament points forward to Christ. And then of course, everything in the New Testament certainly points us to Christ as well. And that's also important just in terms of understanding the faith and being able to explain it to others. And I think, the number one way to lose your Catholic faith and become Protestant is to be ignorant of the Bible, and I guess ignorant of what the Catholic Church teaches. If you don't really understand things, and then a Protestant comes and says, well, hey, a Catholic believes this, or, the Catholic Church twists this about the Bible, you may not recognize the subtle fallacies that are happening there if you don't know scripture. You have to really know scripture. Otherwise, someone can say that, the scriptures contradict Catholicism, and you may begin to believe that. And again, that's simply not true. And I will say, just as a side note, from what I've seen, again, a lot of the Catholics turned Protestants that I knew when I was a Protestant were not well catechized. They talked about how, I went to Mass, but I didn't know what any of it meant, or, that kind of thing. And again, that's a recipe for becoming Protestant, losing your faith, is not really understanding it. But if you know the Catholic faith and you know the Bible, you're going to see how they go together. And you're going to see how, everything that the Catholic Church teaches, and maybe there's not a one verse in the Bible that you can just point to that says that clearly, but everything that the Church believes can be, the source of that can be found in Scripture. And again, one example that we'd all agree with is the Trinity. You have to read between the lines, but it's so very clear when you're looking for it. And even the teachings about Mary, that a lot of Protestants say, oh, that's not in Scripture. There's an entire book that I could recommend about the biblical roots of Mary. And actually, that's the name of the book. There's a book called Jesus and the Jewish Roots of Mary. And it's a book all about how everything the Catholic Church believes about Mary is in Scripture. So anyway, again, you have to know Scripture if you want to know those things. And so again, I've just been really convicted that, I need to spend more time in Scripture every single day. And so I'm trying to do that. And I'm also trying to pass it on to my children. And I try really hard to teach my kids the faith. And I think that they're learning how to pray and, how to worship God. But I want to be more intentional about reading the Scriptures to them and helping them memorize Scripture, memorizing Scripture myself. And so, that's just something that I'm excited to prioritize. And the last thing I'll say is that if you're a Protestant and you love the Bible, I would say awesome. But not only that, I would say we need you. We need you to join the Catholic Church and bring your passion for Scripture with you. Everything that is good and beautiful about Protestantism, evangelical Protestantism, etc., you can find that in the Catholic Church. Catholics do love Scripture. We need to do better. But, you can be a Catholic that loves Scripture. And so again, we need those Protestants to become Catholic and bring that passion for Scripture. And again, that's one reason that it's such a shame that we are so divided as Christians, is that we're missing out on each other's gifts. And so we really all need each other. And there is so much that we can learn from each other as we grow closer to Christ. And so, that's my prayer, is that we can all appreciate Scripture more, all recognize each other's gifts more, and someday, somehow, by God's grace, become one united church again. Thanks for watching, and God bless.